Hello again, everybody. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and I'm back with a quick tutorial video. This actually will be quick, and this is about how to, if you have a wait loop running in, say, a parallel event, and you're having that event wait a certain amount of time, so you're using a loop to wait, but you have a reason to potentially break that wait, and you don't necessarily want to turn the parallel event off. So I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do it. Basically, you're inserting a check inside the wait loop to see if it needs to break or to stop. So again, I'll throw my caveats out here. This is not necessarily the only way to do this. This may not even be the best way to do it. This just happens to be a way that I just figured out how to do because I needed to do it for my Sudoku game. So it seems to be working, so I wanted to share it in case it helps other people. So let me give you just a little bit of background, if you haven't seen any of my videos about my Sudoku game. So there are two things that the player will be able to change the frequency of things that change in the game. So for instance, the theme. These are all the themes of the Sudoku puzzles. So these are the values that go into the Sudoku puzzle. And if the player wants to, they can turn the fixed off, which means that these themes will change as the game is being played. So you could be in the middle of a puzzle, and all of a sudden it switches from this, which is the current preview, to this, or to this. Okay, and yes, I do need to optimize these themes. That is on my to-do list. But so the player can choose to have rotating themes while they're playing the game, and they can set it from 1 to 5 minutes. Okay, 1 to 5 minutes. And then the other thing that they can, actually there's two more things they can change. They can do it with music, so they can choose to change the background music every 1 to 5 minutes, and they can choose to change the background every 1 to 5 minutes. So in theory, the player could set it so while they're playing the game, their background is changing, their theme is changing, and of course their music is playing, is changing. So let me just show you how this works, and then I'll show you the script, the functionality that does it. So I'm here, whoops, on my theme. I'm going to actually start the game. So don't worry about this. This is just testing text. Okay, so here's my puzzle. I have my theme, and I have no background. It's just a black background. So I'm going to go to my theme, and I'm going to say, you know what? I want this to change every, let's say, every 2 minutes. Okay, and so I'm going to turn this on. Now, when I turn this on, this is going to change because that's the way the parallel is set up. A parallel event is set up. So I turn this on. It immediately changes. It changed to numbers this time. If I go back to the puzzle, now it's numbers. Now the counter's running in the background. It's set to 2 minutes. If we waited 2 minutes, this would change again. But as a player, I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm going to change it down to 1 minute. So this will take less than 15 seconds. So I'm going to change it to 1, and we're going to watch down here. And it should take less than, there we go, it took less than 15 seconds. So now, if I change my mind again, and let's say I'm going to change this, I'm going to move up some. Again, it'll take less than 15 seconds to update the theme. Let's go up to there. And it changed again. Now it's running for 3 minutes. Okay, that's how the functionality is working. And if I go back here, it's changed on my puzzle. So whoops. So how is that working? So I'll just go. I have changing backgrounds, I have changing music, and I have changing theme. They all pretty much are doing the same thing. So here is the applicable part that you need to that I'll show you. Okay. So essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm creating my wait loop, and I'm using a variable for to store that value of 1 through 5. That's telling what the player set it to. So if this is a conditional branch, if theme change frequency, that's the variable name, is equal to 5, so the player set it to 5, then it's going to be a loop, okay? And the loop, I set a wait for 900 frames. Well, 900 frames is 15 seconds. So there's 60 frames in a second, and so 900 frames is 15 seconds. Well, I want it to be 5 minutes. So what I then do is you can't the engine, you could do a script. Probably you could use a script instead, but the engine doesn't let you set this long enough for 5 minutes. So what I do is I have it wait for 900 frames, which is 15 seconds. I'm using another variable, theme wait loop count, and that was at 0 when this event started, and I'm adding 1 to it. Then it's going to do a conditional branch check. If theme wait loop count, which is this, is equal to 20, that means it's gone through this 20 times, it's waited 900 frames 20 times, then it'll break the loop. So that's a total of 5 minutes. Now here is where the check is being done to break the loop early. So what I did was, in my game, if the player goes in and changes the frequency from, say, 5 to 3, when 15 seconds is up, or wherever it is in this loop, right? It's continually counting 15 seconds. Wherever it is, when it hits that 900 frame count, it's going to check, has it done it 20 times? No. So it's going to come down here. It's going to check conditional branch. If theme change frequency is not equal to 5, meaning the player changed it, then it's, instead of just breaking the loop, right? Because in the way I have this constructed, if I just break the loop, it continues down through the event, and it immediately starts counting a different time. I don't want that. So instead, I'm having it jump to label end, which means it skips if it's a 4, if it's a 3, if it's a 2, if it's a 1, it jumps down to the end, and then since this is a parallel event, it goes all the way back to the beginning, and that's where it does it reset the loop count, and then it changes the theme. This functionality changes the theme and updates things on the screen. Okay, so it's that simple. And the great thing about this is that if right now, for testing purposes, I don't care if it takes 15 seconds or up to 15 seconds for the theme to change again if the player changes the wait time. 15 seconds for testing is fine. However, if I said, you know what, I don't want there to be a 15-second delay. I want it to take effect as quickly as possible. I could change this frame count to a lower number. So I could change it to 5 seconds, which would be 60 frames times 5, so that would be 300 seconds, 300 frames. I could change this to 300 frames and then increase the loop count so that it still equals 5 minutes. And that means that every 5 seconds, this would be checking, hey, did this change? Did this change? Did this change? If so, I'm going to jump to the end and then start over again because the player chose to change the frequency. Okay, so you and the reason I didn't want to turn this event off is because, as I showed you, if the player's just changing the amount of time that it waits between changing the theme, I don't want to turn this event off. I want it to keep running. So that's why I'm having this conditional branch check inside of the wait loop. There are other times, like for instance, if the player turns off this functionality and they say, you know what, I don't want the theme to change anymore. I want it to go back to being fixed. when they do that, then it turns off this switch, change theme on, and as soon as this switch is turned off, this parallel event stops because it's no longer the conditions are no longer met. So if I want to turn this off completely, I turn off one of the switches. But I don't want to turn it off completely. I want this event to keep running. So anyway, that's the way I just figured out how to do this. It works great. I just showed you how it works. So you basically have a conditional branch, or you don't necessarily have to have a conditional branch to do this. It's just a loop, right? So you create a loop, and you tell it to wait a certain amount of frames, which is 60 frames a second. If you can't wait long enough, right? If this value won't hold long enough for, let's say you wanted it to wait an hour, right? You'd have to go, well, what's my maximum frames that I can plug in there? And then I'd have to use like a loop count, right? How many times has it waited that number of frames? So in this one, I have a variable that's tracking how many times it's gone through the loop. I have a conditional branch. Hey, how many times have I gone through this loop? What's the value of that variable? If it's 20, so if it's reached the maximum amount that I want, break the loop. And then I have my conditional branch check, the one that says, hey, do I need to break this wait early? Do I not want to wait the full 5 minutes? And that's where this is coming in. And I did it this way because it's easy. This is triggered by this variable value. So when the player changes that variable value, it's going to interrupt this loop. You could use anything you wanted here. You could use a switch. If a switch is on, right? If a switch is on, then break the loop or jump to another spot, right? So you could easily do that. You could use any condition you wanted here. You just have to insert the check within the loop for the wait. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So if if you're really new to this and you haven't used this wait loop, this is all that it's doing. You create a loop, right? So go here, and in event command tab 1, there's this loop, right? So you have a loop. Anything in between here is what is being looped through, right? And so you have your loop, and then your wait, right? Which is here, tab 2, the wait. And when I click wait, right, there's amount of time that I can plug in here. I don't even know what the maximum amount of time is. Let's see. Yeah, so 999 is the max wait time for the default without using a script, right? So I didn't. I don't know if I've used the script for the wait yet. I may have. I can't remember. But so you put in your wait. So it's gonna sit there. The parallel process is gonna stop right here, and it's gonna wait however many frames you tell it to. And then we're using this check here to say, hey, if I don't have this check, this is going to loop through forever, right? If I remove this and if I remove this, the only thing that's left is a loop that waits 900 frames, and then it just repeats. Boop, wait 900 frames, repeat. Boop. Okay, so if you don't have anything to stop the loop, it's just going to run forever in a loop, and this parallel event's going to just stay right there. This is checking how many times have I been through this loop, how many times have I waited 900 frames, and if it hits the total in the conditional branch that I set, break the loop. So stop doing that. Stop going through the loop. Stop waiting 900 frames. And then this is that conditional check where you're saying, hey, I'm going to loop through this 20 times, right? I'm going to wait 900 frames 20 times. But if this is met, right, each time it hits 900 frames, if this is met, it's going to then jump to a different spot, or you could just have break loop, right? Break loop here, and that would break the loop from running. It depends on how your event is set up. I can't use break loop here because it will immediately do something I don't want it to do. I want it to go back to the start. I could have just as easily jumped to label and had a label up here. See, label again. I could have actually had it jump to label again if I wanted to, and then it would just bypass these two things though. So anyway, that's how that's how you can do that. It's pretty easy, pretty simple, works really well. So again, as I've said before, I don't know if did I change anything. I don't think I did. I messed with some stuff, but I don't have to save it. Discard changes, yes. So as I said, this may not be the only way to do it. It may not be the best way to do it, but it is a way that works. I'm going to use it in my Sudoku puzzle unless I figure out a better way to do it. But right now it's working fine, and I will probably lower the frame count and increase the loop count so that it checks more frequently for that condition, so that if the player changes the wait time, it doesn't have to wait up to 15 seconds. Maybe I'll change it to 10 seconds or maybe 5 seconds or something like that. Anyway, I hope this helps, especially if you're new and just starting, figuring things out, or maybe you're not so new but you haven't stumbled across this and you were searching for it. So I hope this helps somebody. If you do find these tutorials helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and getting notifications. Please, feel free to leave comments. Love seeing comments. I try to respond to them. And I like to see that these are helping folks. So like to hear from people. So again, this was pretty quick, and I'm going to go back to working on my game and maybe doing some beta testing for other people. But anyway, have a great afternoon. I hope everything's going well. Happy gaming, happy game developing, and I will talk to everybody later. Bye.